Walter from Chicago. I've been watching the Super Mario Brothers Super Show for work this week. It's a hell of a job. The live action segments featured Captain Lou Albano as Mario, and several episodes guest starred other wrestlers, including Roddy Piper and Sergeant Slaughter. Do you remember this show, and did you watch it as a kid? Also, what are some of the more obscure and strange wrestler appearances in movies and TV shows that you can recall? Not only did I watch the Super Mario Brothers Super Show when I was younger, I was going through some old VHS tapes here at home, and I found a few of them in the official box and all. Because I kept a lot of old VHS tapes. I mean, I junked a whole bunch of them years ago, but I have a box in my closet of old VHS tapes that I did keep. And there's obviously, I would say 95% of the VHS tapes I still have are wrestling related. But there it was. I was going through it probably about, 2 months ago maybe. And I bought it in a store. It wasn't like I taped it off TV. It was in the box, and I think it had it was Mario on like a magic carpet on the cover, and there it was, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. I used to be addicted to that show. But as far as wrestler cameos are concerned, the ones that stand out, look, there's been too many for me to sit here and name, but the ones that stand out to me, Jesse Ventura. This movie was on cable the other day. This movie sucked, but Jesse Ventura played a prison guard in Batman and Robin before he was killed by Poison Ivy, the villain, not actual Poison Ivy. One of the most random wrestler cameos. So we go from a crappy movie like Batman and Robin to one of the best movies, one of my favorite movies. And of all people, it was a Ludwig Borga cameo in Die Hard with a Vengeance. I'm a big Die Hard fan. Mostly the first and the third movies. Not a big fan of the second one at the airport. But Borga has a cameo in the third Die Hard movie. He's a heavy. He's one of the bad guys. He's a heavy for Hans Gruber's brother, Simon, played by Jeremy Irons. And in this scene, he's dressed up as a New York City police officer. Because these German terrorists are, blowing up New York, and they're kind of infiltrating, and he's one of the bad guys, but he's dressed up as an NYPD officer. And Samuel L. Jackson's character, Zeus, not to be confused with the wrestler Zeus, who himself has been in many movies. Are you confused yet? He shows up in the scene. He's an innocent bystander who's been dragged into this whole thing with Bruce Willis's character. And so he's kind of tagging along, trying to save the day. And I think if I remember correctly, Bruce Willis hands him this briefcase bomb that has been deactivated, and Bruce is going to go off to do something, and he sees the cops, and he tells Samuel L. Jackson's character, here, just, he's like, what do you want me to do with this? He's like, here, give it to those cops. So he goes over to the cops, not knowing that these are the bad guys, hands them the briefcase bomb, and he says, here, we found this. And they thank him. And they take the briefcase, and they get in their car, and they drive off. But the big punchline of the scene is that Borga, before they get back in the car, he gently puts the briefcase down on the ground, and he's going to leave it there. And the other bad guy, says, what are you doing? And they have the subtitles because they're not speaking in English. He's like, what are you doing? And Borga just goes, I don't want to ride with that. And the guy says, oh, some kid could find it. Pick it up. And Borga's like, okay. And he picks it up, and they get in the car, and they drive off. And that's it. That's like his only scene in the entire movie. But like Ludwig fucking Borga. Talk about a random wrestler cameo here in this movie. And this movie came out in 95. So this wasn't very long after Borga left WWE. I think he left WWE in early 94. I think he broke his ankle, and he never came back. So this was right after he landed this role in the movie. So that was kind of random. Trying to think of other ones that I can remember. This one's not really a wrestler cameo, but there is a scene early on in the movie Natural Born Killers where Rodney Dangerfield is sitting in his recliner at home and watching TV, and he's actually watching, I think, WWF Superstars, and Tatanka's on the screen, and he's like sitting in his chair saying, kill the fucking Indian. And I just remember laughing when I saw this. And by the way, I saw that movie. I had to be like, how old was I when I saw that? 11 or 12? Yeah. Not great parenting on my father's part there. Do not take your 11-year-old son to go watch Natural Born Killers. That movie traumatized the shit out of me. It gave me a headache too, like the way it was filmed. Anybody who saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But imagine seeing that movie when you're like 11 years. I'm still traumatized from seeing that movie. The only other one I would mention, how can I forget this one? Hulk Hogan in Gremlins 2.
We have gremlins in the projection booth. Could you help us?
Gremlins? In this theater? Now? Okay, you guys, listen up. People pay good money to see this movie. When they go out to a theater, they want cold sodas, hot popcorn, and no monsters in the projection booth. Do I have to come up there myself? Do you think the Grimsters can stand up to the Hulkster? Well, if I were you, I'd run the rest of Gremlins 2 right now.
Sorry, folks. It won't happen again.
The best part about that scene that you couldn't see there is that Hogan just so happens to be sitting in the movie theater in his ring gear with the winged eagle belt around his waist. I'd like to think that's how he traveled everywhere back then when he was the champion. Plus, he ripped his shirt off at the end. Hulk Hogan cutting a promo on the Gremlins, I think would qualify as a strange cameo.